For the introduction of next presentation, it is over to Dr. Kaleem Malli Sahab.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ladies and gentlemen, since morning we have excellent talks. And now the third topic of our today's talk is a very, very important and common topic, which is electrolyte abnormalities in endocrine problems of neonates. You all know that neonates with endocrine disorders often develop electrolytes imbalances like low sodium or high potassium. Knowing their etiology, along with early recognition, careful monitoring, and timely correction, are essential to prevent complications, and it will ultimately support normal growth and development. For this talk, I feel honored to invite one of the most recognized peds endocrinologists. She is ex-professor of pediatric endocrinology, University of Child Health Sciences and the Children's Hospital Lahore. She has a vast experience of clinical practice and academia. She also has special interest in research and has various publications to her credit. I welcome Professor Jaida Manzoor.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, sir, for the nice introduction, and quite thankful to the organizers who has invited us to speak on the very simple topic. It looks simple, but I think it is a tip of the iceberg. Preceding talks were excellent. They were not even simple, but very much informative. But I think my talk, it looks simple, but it will depict lot of endocrine problem. If I can say, so simple, I have no disclosures on my talk. So my talk looks very simple, but I think it covers much of the endocrine problems, directly or indirectly. Under this umbrella, I can see many diseases which I want to talk, but due to time constraints may not be. So I got one or two clinical scenarios which are recently visited me. So I will be talking on that, I think the patients were referred with the grave problem. So all the endocrines problems have the electrolyte abnormalities. I think beside sodium chloride, calcium, magnesium chloride, phosphate, all goes in the high and low stage, in the normal use stage. But never miss testing blood sugar and bicarbonates. Because when there is volume contraction or hypervolemia, somehow the acid-base balance also affected, and so is the case of blood sugar. It may be, as you can see in the case of diabetic ketoacidosis. So these electrolytes are very useful. They help they have functions in all cells of the body: heart, brain, muscles, keeping your metabolic acidosis, keeping your pH normal, tonicity, and also integrity of the bone. Some electrolytes have their direct relationship, like increase magnesium, increase calcium, and while potassium and sodium has the inverse relationship. One will be increasing, another will be decreasing. If the sodium is decreasing, the potassium will be increasing. So we have to see, according the clinical scenario, have to be correlated with the biochemistry. It is very important. Do not miss the history and examination. So it is very pertinent to match the clinical status with the biochemistry. Otherwise, you cannot diagnose the disease accurately. So electrolyte imbalance is quite frequent, not in the neonatal, but beyond the neonatal age. Why the neonatals are more important? Because they have the transition from the in utero to the postnatal environment, new environment. They have been in utero or dependent on the maternal homeostasis. So they have the renal tubular immaturity in concentrating, have the high water content and surface area, inadequate stress responses. For these points, they usually lag combating the electrolyte abnormalities. So beside the non-endocrinal causes, the endocrinal causes, I think electrolyte disturbances may serve as an important clinical indicator and maybe a red flag of the endocrine disorder. So we have to pick the things promptly, diagnose and manage them in time to prevent life-threatening complications, or we can say decrease the mortality and morbidity. I would be talking as we need to know the physiology of all the problems, especially how the water and electrolyte balance is going on in the body. There is always integration between all these 4 markers: thirst, vasopressin, ADH, antidiuretic hormone, we can say, renin, angiotensin, aldosterone system. These 3 markers usually go to make the volume, intravascular volume normal, blood pressure normotensive, tonicity normal, but the converse is the natriuretic peptide system, which helps to diurese. So coordinating with all, we have a normal body of homeostasis and electrolytes in the body. And it is very important for functioning for all the cells. How we can say how it helps in? Look, if we have the hypovolemia, hypotension, hyponatremia, increased potassium, decreased renal perfusion, how it acts. The star shows there is an emergency in the body. Starring, help me, please help me. Heart, it acts at a lot of systems. That's good. So it will promptly increase sympathetic activity, decrease the glomerular filtration rate, increase absorption of the tubular sodium and chloride and water reabsorption. At the same time, started asking juxtaglomerular apparatus to produce more renin, ultimately acting by producing more angiotensin II, acting on the adrenal gland to produce more aldosterone. What aldosterone does, it is produced by the zona glomerulosa of adrenal gland to act on the distal late part of the renal tubule and collecting duct to absorb sodium chloride and water. So at the same time, there is also it also affects the angiotensin also C. It also affects the proximal tubular absorption and also activates the brain to produce more antidiuretic hormone, vasopressin. At the same time, heart, the natriuretic peptides, they decreased. They all work integrately with good partnership to build the volume to the normal, blood pressure to the normal, and electrolyte imbalance, making the electrolytes to the normal levels. So this is the natriuretic peptide system that was conserving, it is diuresing. It is produced from the brain, from the atria ventricles, natriuretic peptides. These are usually produced in causing affect the kidney by causing increased urine output, natriuresis. It also has the vasodilator effect. It has also the work against the vasopressin, and it also inhibits the aldosterone production. So how all the physiology work together to make us in the normal homeostasis of water and electrolytes, which is very necessary function of every cell and organ of the body. If we feel dehydrated, even talking, my respiratory passages become dry, then I have to take the drink of water, sip of water. So how our body regulates the hyperosmolality? Hyperosmolality, it is mostly depicted by sodium level and glucose. So once the hyperosmolar stage is there, it stimulates the osmoreceptors, baroreceptors. What it stimulation? There is increased vasopressin in relation to the high osmolality, and the thirst maximum is a natural maximum. It's a very vigilant way to combat the hyperosmolality by drinking. And vasopressin, there is by acting on the collecting duct, will cause increased water absorption, and also has the vasoconstrictive property. So with all these things, the hyperosmolality becomes the normal tonicity of the extra volume, cellular volume. So the red flags which we get from this electrolyte balance directly or indirectly is among these are the common disorders which practically we receive the calls and referrals. Last diabetic ketoacidosis is a practical example of this. Yesterday during the conference, I received a call from the emergency of private hospital where I visited in the evening. That child was quite sick, for the first time presented in diabetic ketoacidosis with severe hyperglycemia and severe acidosis. Pending signs were of the raised ICP. That child was put on the therapy, but I think still the vigilant monitoring or management may be lacking. So when I went in the night, the child has deteriorated to the signs of level that has to be intubated. So fluid and electrolyte imbalance is so much important. You can bring the life back and you give the life back. Then that child was promptly treated for raised ICPs. Cerebral edema can be a grave complication with a severe decay in first presentation, and that was alhamdulillah managed. And I can't join the morning session, that's why I was there to manage the child. Alhamdulillah, while I was moving here, that child was conscious level that he was following the command. So my message is that we have to deal promptly and very vigilantly monitoring. So making the electrolyte balance correctly, bring the child back to life. Otherwise, can be life-threatening. Usually, the electrolyte balance neonates presents in a very vague way. Severe cases can only be identified by the fits or shock-like status, seizures, so on and so on. So we have to think whenever the child becomes sick, always send the serum electrolytes, sodium, potassium, bicarb, blood sugar, calcium, phosphorus, all should be in one. It looks so simple strip, but depicts lot of problems which should be promptly treated. As I have given you the example, it is a practical example which has happened in 24 hours. If it hasn't been promptly addressed, the child we have lost. I have seen the cases which have been lost like this. So it's key to be very vigilant in managing the electrolyte balance. So this is my scenario. The preceding lecture on DST and ambiguously by my esteemed colleagues was given. It is scenario-based discussion. I think my talk can be more fruitful if I give the scenarios. A 25-year-old baby brought to endocrine clinic with complete failure to thrive, vomiting, irritability. He finds to be dehydrated, lethargic, weak pulses, 130 sodium, potassium 6.5, blood sugar 65, blood urea nitrogen 60, by 15, male genitalia. और what do you think? कल का पढ़ाया हुआ आपको, डॉक्टर्स ने बहुत अच्छा पढ़ाया. What do you think this child has? हम आपको जगा दें, ऊंची आवाज में बोलें. कंजेंटल एड्रीनल हाइपरप्लेजिया, बस इतना ही काफी है. इतना में क्या? हाँ जी, हाँ, शॉर्ट लूजर टाइप. ठीक है, तो इसमें हमें इलेक्ट्रोलाइट इम्बैलेंस को भी करेक्ट करना है, वाटर को भी करेक्ट करना है, और हम इससे स्टीरॉइड्स भी देंगे. ठीक है, तो correction of the rehydration with the normal saline, IV steroids, हाई डोज पे जब देते हैं स्ट्रेस डोज में तो वो आपकी मिनरलोकॉर्टिकॉइड एक्टिविटी आ जाती है. व्हेन यू ट्रीट देम ऑन मेंटेनेंस तो आपको वी हैव टू ऐड फ्लूरोकॉर्टिसोन अलोंग विद द हाइड्रोकॉर्टिसोन विद मॉनिटरिंग सिक डे गाइडलाइंस वी हैव टू गेट. तो अगर इस तरह हो, सोडियम और पोटेशियम का लेवल हो, प्लीज थिंक ऑफ द एंडोक्राइन सिस्टम, स्पेशली कंजेंटल एड्रीनल हाइपरप्लेजिया. आपको पढ़ाया गया था देयर इज हाइपोकॉर्टिसोलिज्म एंड हाइपोएल्डोस्टेरोन एंड द एंड्रोजन्स आर इंक्रीज. तो जो आपको बैलेंस में यहाँ क्राइसिस में लाइफ थ्रेटनिंग दे रहा है, इट इज CH. अदर कॉजेज कैन बी, को सिक चाइल्ड है, सेप्सिस है, हेमरेज है, या प्राइमरी एल्डोस्टेरम, इट कैन ऑल्सो बी थॉट ऑफ. ये थोड़ी सी मैंने वैसे आपके लिए बताया कि ये तो हाइपोहाइपरटेंसीमिया का कॉम्बिनेशन, इट हैज गॉट द विद इनवर्स रिलेशनशिप ड्यू टू रेनन एंजियोटेंसिन एल्डोस्टेरोन मैकेनिज्म. मेरी टॉक्स चूँकि इलेक्ट्रोलाइट्स है, सिंपल है, हाई-फाई नहीं, जेनेटिक्स पे नहीं जा सकते और मेनी अदर थिंग्स, सो आई ट्राइज टू बी वेरी सिंपल फॉर यू. और हाइपोनेट्रीमिया यहाँ मैंने आप देखे हैं, जब हमारे बच्चे हाइपोपिट्यूटिज्म की एंड हाइपोथार्डिया पफी, ये इस वजह डाइल्यूशनल होता है हाइपोनेट्रीमिया. SIDH ज़्यादा भी होता है, फ्लूइड रिटेंशन है, ठीक है, दैट्स वाई दे बिहेव लाइक दिस. ये तो आई नीड कि इट शुड बी लर्न बाय इन अ एल्गोरिदम वे कि आपको सोडियम जब प्रेजेंट करते हैं, देन बिफोर गोइंग टू द बायोकेमिस्ट्री प्लीज look at the hydration status of the patient. हाइपोवोलीमिक है, यूवोलीमिक है, हाइपरवोलीमिक है. अगर तो वो ऑस्मोलैलिटी उसकी, फिर हम जो सेट ऑफ इलेक्ट्रोलाइट्स भेजेंगे वो यूरिनरी एंड सीरम इलेक्ट्रोलाइट्स हैं एंड सीरम एंड यूरिन ऑस्मोलैलिटी है, ठीक है. देन वी हैव टू कोरिलेट क्लिनिकली कितनी हाइड्रेशन के साथ क्या क्या हो सकता है. वी टेलर द थिंग्स मोर इजीली एंड रीच द डायग्नोसिस. बल्कि हम ये कहेंगे कि वी कैन take care of the pocket of patients so we don't embark on the very expensive tests. तो आपका अगर आपका सीरम सोडियम 135 है, लो प्लाज्मा ऑस्मोलैलिटी है, हाइपोटोनिक हाइपोनेट्रीमिया है, वॉल्यूम स्टेटस देखें, हाइपोवोलेमिक यूरिनरी सोडियम पे अगर तो वो इट इज़ ग्रेटर देन 20, इट इज रीनल कॉजेज हैं आपको, इसमें आपकी रीनल डिजीज इंटरस्टिशियल भी आएगी, पाइलोनेफ्राइटिस है, ऑब्स्ट्रक्टिव यूरोपैथीज हैं, ये इवन CH में भी ये ज़्यादा होगा, ठीक है. और एक्स्ट्रा रीनल, अगर आपका एक्स्ट्रा रीनल सोल्यूट लॉस आप किस में आएगा, व्हेन लेस देन 20 है, ठीक है. व्हेन इट इज यूवोलिमिक तो आपकी एंडोक्राइनोपैथी, सिंड्रोम ऑफ इनअप्रोप्रिएट ADH सिक्रीशन और डायरेटिक यूज है. व्हेन इट इज हाइपरवोलिमिक, ये इंपॉर्टेंट है, urinary sodium greater than 20, it is renal failure. Renal cause is acute or chronic, and if it is low, then fluid retention in this condition of heart failure, cirrhosis. So in this way, you can judge you according to the urinary electrolytes and osmolality, or we can see the ratio of the urine and plasma osmolality and electrolytes. It's very important and correlate with the volume status of the patient. So it is just the repetitions of many things. We can say where we have hyperkalemia or hypokalemia and the cutoffs, and you can see the literature is nothing. And potassium is very grave when it is hypokalemic and as well as hyperkalemic. So we have to address it promptly. So next scenario is very important. First scenario has got hyponatremia and increased potassium. Here, a 20 days old male boy with history of heavy diapers. It is a practical scenario. ये कुछ week पहले का बात है. Poor feeding, weight loss greater than 20%, birth weight 3 था, then comes to be 22.5 in 20 days. Blood glucose 90, blood urea 58, creatinine 0.9, sodium 160, serum 4, potassium was okay, bicarbonate 60, osmolality serum 300 and urine osmolality. What is your diagnosis? जोर से हाइपरनेट्रीमिक डिहाइड्रेशन है, थोड़ा सा मेटाबॉलिक उसका एसिडोसिस भी है, यूरिन ऑस्मोलैलिटी डाइल्यूट यूरिन है, ठीक है, डाइल्यूट यूरिन है और शुगर ठीक है इसकी, वेट लॉस कर गया, हैवी डायपर्स हैं, पॉलीयूरिक है, द कॉज कैन बी वेरी गुड डायबिटीज इंसिपिडस। तो डायबिटीज इंसिपिडस का ये केस है हमारे पास एज अ न्यू नेट में भी प्रेजेंट करता है, चाहे सेंट्रल और नेफ्रोजन, इट्स अनदर वे, वो मैंने आपको कहा डायग्नोसिस का फिर विच फर्दर टेस्ट सपोर्ट योर डायग्नोसिस। कौन सा करेंगे इसमें, इन तीनों मैंने लिखे हुए, जरा ग्रे में लिखा कि हम बाद में भी डिस्कस कर सकते हैं। विच टेस्ट यू विल प्रेफर इन दिस 20 days ओल्ड मेल में? क्या हम इसमें वाटर डेप्रीवेशन करेंगे? इट इज सेफ इन न्यूनेट्स? नो, सिंपल आप ऑस्मोलैरिटी चेक करें। फिर सोडियम क्लोराइड इन्फ्यूजन टेस्ट, इसका रोल है, आपको जब भी क्लोराइड देते हैं तो आपको एल्डोस्टेरॉन का मैकेनिज्म चेक करना होता है, और इवन हाइपरटोनिक में तो आप इसको इसका चेक कर सकते हैं, वेजोप्रेसिन का भी। तो डज इट हेल्प हियर? बच्चों में नहीं, बियॉन्ड वी कैन थिंक ऑफ, बॉर्डरलाइन केसेस में वी कैन थिंक ऑफ। यूरिन इलेक्ट्रोलाइट्स, आर दे इंपॉर्टेंट? यस, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। एंड सीरम कोपेप्टिन, कितने लोगों को पता है व्हाट इज कोपेप्टिन? आपका प्रिकर्सर वे में प्रो वेजोप्रेसिन में जो आपकी जैसे आपका इंसुलिन सी पेप्टाइड जैसा रिलीज होता है, इसी तरह ये भी आपका सूरोगेट मार्कर ऑफ एवीपी वेजोप्रेसिन है, कोपेप्टिन। तो इट्स, अब ये इसको इंपॉर्टेंट बायोमार्कर समझा जाता है टू टेल दैट यू हैव द एडिक्वेट एडीएच और नॉट, या रेजिस्टेंस इफेक्ट्स। तो इसलिए मैंने ये रख दिया है। तो ये मैंने एल्गोरिदम फिर लिया क्योंकि थोड़ा सा शायद आपको इस तरह मेमोराइज हो जाए, तो देन वी कैन डिपिक्ट hyponatremia. Either you have the free water loss, water depletion, or you have got the sodium overload. Water depletion, inadequate intake है, exercise, transepidermal water loss, neonates में आपका humidified warmers वो ना incubators ना हो, या radiant warmers पे हो, there 20% more loss, insensible loss, excessive renal loss like DI, excessive skin and gastrointestinal tract losses, vomiting, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and so on. और सोडियम ओवरलोड, मिनरलोकॉर्टिकॉइड एक्सेस है, चाहे आप आइट्रोजेनिक दें या प्राइमरी हाइपोएल्डोस्टेरोन रेनिन इज लो, सेकेंडरी में आपका रेनिन हाई और हाई एल्डोस्टेरोन मेक्स योर इंक्रीज एब्जॉर्प्शन ऑफ सोडियम एंड पोटेशियम। तो आपने डायग्नोसिस तो मुझे बता ही दिया, गुड। सो ये हमारे पॉइंट्स थे। आपको जब भी एमसीक्यूज आए तो ये पॉइंट्स ऐसे इकट्ठे होंगे, ठीक है। पॉलीयूरिया, वेट लॉस, डाइल्यूट, कैसा हमारे बच्चे की क्या प्रेजेंटेशन, क्या हिस्ट्री में पूछ रहे हैं, वेट लॉस है, पॉलीयूरिया, डाइल्यूट है, हाइपर डिहाइड्रेशन है। फिर बायोकेमिस्ट्री क्या बता रही है कि इसकी हाइपर ऑस्मोलरिटी, हाइपरनेट्रीमिक है, लो यूरिनरी सल्यूट्स हैं। तो हमने अपने फर्दर टेस्ट को ये अडॉप्ट किया कि हमने इस बच्चे को रियल टाइम में मैंने ये सारी चीज़ें की, तो रिस्पांस क्या आना चाहिए, व्हाट शुड बी द रिस्पांस इन दिस मेल चाइल्ड। ये मेल है, एक्स लिंक डिसऑर्डर्स इसमें आ सकते हैं, आपका मेलाइटिस है, सॉरी डायबिटीज पर सेंट्रल वो इट विल डिपेक्ट्स, दोनों हो सकते हैं सेंट्रल ऑर्डर। तो सीरम कोऑप्टिन इसका low normal, desperation challenge, no significant response, तो then DI turns to be nephrogenic. Nephrogenic diet पे हमने क्या दिया, what we done, कि हमने thiazide diazide and potassium sparing diuretics दिए, ये सोच के तो to have to do the volume contraction, ठीक है। और दूसरा आपका सोडियम लोड डिस्टल पे जाके वाटर के साथ रीअब्जॉर्प्शन हो जाएगा, वाटर रीअब्जॉर्प्शन हो जाएगा व्हेन द सोडियम लोड मूव टू द डिस्टल साइड। तो रिस्पांस ये वीक का, ये रियल टाइम सिनेरियो, रिस्पांस बहुत अच्छा है, जो एक्सपेक्ट भी मैं करी थी। डुअल थेरेपी पे आया, इट्स एक्सीलेंट कि आपकी सारी चीज़ें इन अ वीक टाइम स्टार्टेड करेक्टिंग, अलॉन्ग विद बायोकेमिस्ट्री शायद मिस होगी, वो सोडियम अब इसका 136 है। द फ्लूइड मैनेजमेंट, ये स्टेट ऑफ द आर्ट है इसमें, ये आपको ग्रेजुअल हायर द हाइपरनेट्रेमिक डिहाइड्रेशन, ग्रेजुअली यू हैव टू करेक्ट इट। either in 36 to 48 hours or 48 to 72 hours. जो rate of decline में कर ले या increase में, it not be more than 0.5 MEQs per liter, इतना रखें बच्चों में और neonates में खसूसन. But or in 24 hours, not correction going beyond 12 millicuvents per liter. So these free water deficit, ये आपका formula है, इसके formula से you have to calculate your free deficit, hypernatremic dehydration. तो उसको लिए you have got this free this formula for calculating free water deficit, maintenance and ongoing losses. With the collective we have to span it on the 2 to 3 days duration. So you should be knowing this knowledge कि आपका कितने % जो है you having the fluids to be given to the hypernatremic patients. तो you should be having this knowledge कि आपका कौन सा आपने hypernatremia अगर हो 180, 170, then close to that osmolarity you have to give the fluids. तो उसमें हम कौन सा fluid देंगे? अगर 170 है तो which fluid you would prefer? N/2, N/5 or normal saline? Anybody? आपका 12 to 15 का difference होना चाहिए, आप normal saline से करेंगे. In some center they also combined with 3% sodium chloride. तो इतनी sharing effect होती है. आपका hypernatremic dehydration, what is it causing? It is causing moving the fluid from the intra to extra. ठीक है? तो अगर आपने एकदम दे दिया तो फिर के fluid आपका चले जाएगा अंदर, because they are indigenous osmoles and they will have more fluid and they are increased chances of cerebral osmotic demyelination syndromes or edema. ये सर just thanks to remember कि हमारी dehydration, hypernatremia dehydration, how we have to classify them and management. Management principles I have already told. Promptly you have to detect by good history, examination, assessing the volume of hydration status of the patient, going to the right biochemistry and relevant underlying test for underlying etiology, timely treatment, vigilantly. Fluid and electrolytes should be addressed very vigilantly and carefully at frequent intervals, maybe 4 to 6 hourly. It will reduce the mortality and morbidity. The diagnostic clues, yes, how given? It's very simple. Already I have given the scenario. Serum electrolytes are very important. Urinary electrolytes and fractional excretion of these electrolytes you have to see. And at the same, you have to monitor the serum and urine osmolarity and keep the ratio. Less than, and beside this, you have to do the renal function and to see the metabolic acidosis, glucose, and so on. So always do glucose along with other electrolytes. Bicarbonate to see the metabolic acidosis or alkalosis. It is a test related to the underlying etiologies we have to determine what we are thinking, what we have disturbance of renin, angiotensin, aldosterone system, whether we have hypernatremic dehydration due to diabetes insipidus, whether central or whether we have primary hyperaldosteronism or primary hyperanemia. So many things will help. This is the classic endocrines problem which have been sent to us and referred, and we have been analyzing by their biochemistry, urinary sodium and fraction excretion. Relevant hormones are very important, and the key points like in the CH, I have already that females present with ambiguous genitalia, male may not be, so the risk goes to the male. In the same Addisons may have hyponatremic dehydration, they may be pigmented. So they are the clinical pearls which we have to correlate with the biochemistry and examination. So this is very important. Syndrome of inappropriate AGS secretion is always to be ruled. It has a strong differential with cerebral salt wasting. Cerebral salt wasting The pathology lies in the too much activity of the natriuretic peptide system. Diuresis ही बहुत. Electrolytes loss है. Cerebral salt wasting occur due to CNS problem, neurological problems. So we have to differentiate from the syndrome of inappropriate ADH secretion. SIDH में euvolemic और less hypervolemic होते हैं, but cerebral salt wasting are always hypovolemic. Urine output देख लें, low to normal है और वो always polyuric है. Treatment में यहाँ SIDH की हम fluid restriction करते हैं, beside giving a hypertonic saline 3% to 5%, 0.1 ml per kg per minute, or it all can be titrating according to the sodium level. But in cerebral salt wasting, we have to give the fluid and salt replacement. So this is just the formulas which we use when we have the electrolyte imbalance. Fractional excretion of sodium is very important, a measure of the sodium which is filtered to the sodium which is excreted. So it will test the kidney's ability to consume sodium. So these are the formulas for the few formulas which has been used for osmolality, correcting the sodium value in hyperglycemia, and calculating water deficit. These are the clinical pearls, which should always, I have already been stressing during my presentation. When the child presents with persistent hypoglycemia, always please check magnesium level. So my take-home message is that we have to clinically correlate with biochemistries. It is very appropriate for appropriate diagnosis and management. Thank you. And
thank you, Dr. Jaida.